to the End Time Remnant YouTube channel. This is Dorothy. Today is March 3rd, 2025, and I don't know about you, but I am grateful for this new month and beyond excited for what the Lord is doing. February was a doozy, and I was not disappointed to see it go. Something happened last week, and I was going back and forth with whether or not it was just a valuable lesson for me, or if it's actually something that I could share on the channel that could potentially be a blessing to someone else. So I decided to make this particular video because something tells me that there is something in this lesson that someone else can learn and be blessed by. So at the beginning of last year, I created a series called Who's That Girl? And I wanted to kind of share my personal testimony with those of you connected to this ministry so that you could just have an opportunity to get to know me more personally. I put out a lot of content, but until that point, I hadn't really revealed myself. And I just wanted more of a connection with each of you. I want you to know who I am, where I come from, what the Lord is doing, and just so that there could be more of a connection. In the third video of that series, I shared a testimony about getting academically dismissed from college at the end of my sophomore year. And for those of you who did not see the series, just to give you a backdrop, I grew up in an extremely strict household. So by the time I got to college, studying hard and focusing on my academics was just really not the priority at all. I was far more focused on partying and socializing because I'd been so deprived of that social element while living in my aunt's household. And ultimately, I take full responsibility and accountability because my lack of focus caught up with me by the end of sophomore year. I was academically dismissed from the college, and I didn't find out until I went to register for classes during the summer before my junior year. So when I found out that I'd been academically dismissed, I called a man by the name of James Boatwright, who was the director of the EOF program at my school. I was crying, I was upset, I was just flailing around. I just really didn't know what I was going to do. And I explained to him that I'd been academically dismissed, and I asked if there was anything at all that he could do for me. He told me to sit tight and that he would call me back shortly. When he called me back, the very first words out of his mouth were, "You owe me your firstborn." He then proceeded to explain that he was able to pull some strings and get me reinstated back into the school. But he also told me very sternly, this is your last chance. He advised me to come back to campus, have my head in the game, focus on nothing but graduation. I didn't have any leeway to party or socialize. He wanted me to be certain that I was ready to put in the work and that my academics needed to be my only priority. So I thanked him for his help, and I promised him that I would get the job done. I let him know that I was grateful, and I definitely did make good on my promise to graduate years later. After graduation, I didn't keep in touch with Mr. Boatwright, but I never forgot about him or the way he helped me. He always had a very special place in my heart, and while I was in the world, working and striving and accomplishing different things, I always felt like I was giving him and so many others a return on their investment in me. So about 5 to 6 months ago, Mr. Boatwright was placed on my heart heavily. And when I say heavily, I mean really heavily. I felt led to reach out to him. And I like to write. Writing is a way for me to express my thoughts and express my heart. And I also like to create cards on a website called Zazzle. And so I wanted to create a card for him and just thank him once again for the very kind gesture he had made so many years ago that significantly blessed my life. I wanted to express my gratitude to him. And I began to look up a current address for him, and I saw that he still actually lived in the state of New Jersey. But here's where things take a turn. Even though I felt led to reach out to him, I decided not to do it. And the reason why is because, if I'm being honest, I was ashamed. I didn't want to send him a card and reach back out because I felt like there was no quote-unquote success story to give him, right? So 9 years ago, when I was making money hand over fist, working in corporate, had my own business, published 3 books, had my own place, traveling the world, I felt like a success because that's what the world says success is. And I just felt like it would have been much easier for me to reach out to him and tell him about all of those things that I'd accomplished. But how exactly do you tell the man who helped put you in a position to graduate from undergraduate school that you aren't working, you aren't using your bachelor or master's degree, you are still single, you do not have any children, you do not have a home of your own, and that you're really just walking with the Lord by faith each day? I don't know. I just kind of made the decision that walking with the Lord didn't really read as exciting as all those other things. So I opted not to reach out to Mr. Boatwright because I felt like my life these days just really isn't anything to brag or boast about. Like I just kind of felt like there's no quote unquote success story here. On Tuesday morning, this past Tuesday, I was at the park just kind of enjoying some downtime, and Mr. Boatwright randomly came to mind. And I had a quick laugh as I remembered what he'd said about me owing him my firstborn. And then my next thought was, sheesh, after all these years, you still don't have a firstborn. And it was just a private moment between the Lord and I, but I am sharing it with you because it matters. At 4:41 p.m. that very same day, as God is my witness, I got a text message that literally made my stomach drop and immediately brought me to tears. It was a friend of mine reaching out to let me know that Mr. Boatwright had passed away. So I was in my car, and I was beyond grateful that I was already pulled over and parked so that I could just feel what I was feeling in that moment. And to be honest with you, church, I was feeling it. I felt very sad. I felt very regretful. I just regretted not reaching out to him when I felt the very strong tug to do so months prior. I regretted caring more about what the world says success is. I regret not being mature enough to truly understand that the only definition of success that matters is God's. As long as I am walking obedient to the call of my life, then I am successful to him, right? I felt regretful that I missed an opportunity to say thank you again because I felt like I didn't have anything great to report, right? So society's idea of success is careers, money, houses, spouses, a family, and all the things. But the truth is, absolutely none of these things make us a success in God's eyes, right? Being saved, right? Being obedient to his will, being aligned with your purpose, serving his people, that's success to God. And I was just sitting in the car, just crying, feeling like, yo, you should have really sent Mr. Boatwright the card. Because for all the heaviness, like, that I felt, all the regret that I felt, I thought to myself 5-6 months ago, like, you felt so led to reach out to him. It was almost spiritual. You know, it was almost as though the Lord was saying, do this. You know what I mean? Do this. Reach out to him. Let him know. Obviously, God knows when our time is up. And I feel like it was my window of opportunity and I did not capitalize on it. And now I wouldn't get the opportunity, you know. But here's the thing. Interestingly enough, not one, not two, but 3 people I know, 2 friends and 1 associate, reached out to me within 24 hours of each other, asking me for help and prayer. They all have money and stuff. They all have careers. They have spouses and relationships. They have children. They have big houses and real estate. But what they are all going through right now, I would not want to trade places with any one of them. The irony here is that for many years I've spent time praying to God for what they all technically have, because those are the desires of my heart. But they are reaching out to me for what they don't have, and that is peace, which comes only from knowing God personally, right? I have what their money can't buy. And therein lies the texts, the phone calls, and the out of blue visits requesting prayer and encouragement that I've received from them, all within a 24-hour span. It was very interesting to me. They want to tap into what I have, which is a powerful prayer life and a peace that only comes through personal relationship with Christ. Okay? I'm praying for what they have, and they need what I have. Okay? See, here's the thing. We can pray for things. And if we allow the enemy to, we can actually buy into the lie that these things automatically mean happiness and all is well. But the truth is, none of these things can replace relationship with the Prince of Peace. Okay, so I make this video because I'm not original. If you are called by God, then it is highly likely you have had to walk humbly for quite some time in some area of your life. Okay, it may appear that everyone has surpassed you in this area. It may appear that everyone already has the things that you've been praying so fervently for over the years, and it may appear that they are far more successful and have it better than you in countless ways. But I want to tell you that absolutely nothing is more valuable than personal relationship with Christ, consistent communion in His presence, and a peace that money can't buy. Your value is not predicated on what society deems success. And I know we live in a world that constantly speaks to success being about your ability to produce tangible things so that you can show people things, right? But we're also living in some very interesting times in which people are fast finding out just how quickly all of these things can be taken away or lost. And when that happens, they are finding out what is really most valuable. So, if you are struggling with just standing boldly in the position the Lord has you in right now, I want you to be encouraged. We all have a different path, and yours is not less important because it doesn't include the glitz and glamour of things that the world deems successful. And I just want you to know that for sure. I really wish I had reached out to Mr. Boatwright 5 or 6 months ago. I missed that opportunity because I was in my head, I was in my feelings, and I was just feeling like, yo, like there's nothing to tell Mr. Boatwright about your life right now. Like there's absolutely nothing to tell this man that even sounds remotely exciting. Like how exciting is it to just, what are you going to tell this guy? Dorothy, what are you doing with yourself? I'm just chilling with the Lord. I'm just walking with Jesus. Well, yeah. That's what I'm telling you, church. Be proud of whatever position the Lord has you standing in. You don't need to be embarrassed about whatever position the Lord has you standing in because, quite frankly, if you're where you're supposed to be, according to His perfect will for your life, then you are successful. Okay? So that's all I have for you on this video. And God willing, I'll see you next time.